Okay. Hey folks, it's Cameron from the Brushfire Mind, and this is Coffee.
Sorry about that. That was the sound of me me double checking to make sure the Rumble's working today, because apparently we dropped the ball on the Rumble side yesterday. Good morning, Danny. So yeah, go out and vote tonight. It's bound to save your life. There's a blood moon on the rise. We don't want to see the article yet. We want to talk for a minute. Good morning, everybody.
We can talk and see the article.
We can see the article in a minute.
It works. I'm good. I feel like everybody's going surfing, surfing on that red wave.
Yes. And guys, so we've been talking about it for weeks and months now.
We're here.
Today's the day.
And we're only going to talk about it a couple of more times before we're done talking about it. Because, of course, there'll be some wrap-up tomorrow, and there'll probably be another layer of wrap-up by next Tuesday. But, yeah.
Hey, I see Zaluska survived something.
Yeah, what, like his birthday? I don't know.
Did he get old again?
Well, you're either getting old or you're not.
And Fish and Golf and Guns says praying for the red tsunami. Yeah, and go vote for the red tsunami if you haven't already.
Yeah, Credence called it the Crackshot called it the Credence Redwater Revival. Mm-hmm. That's also pretty good.
I like that.
So there's probably a bunch more puns out there, and we're just not completely caught up on them. Sometimes reality is just, Scott Adams talks about why he thinks that the highest probability is that we live in a simulation is because of the way just things serendipitously line up to be as interesting as they could possibly be.
That's the most convincing argument for the simulation.
Or or because all men believe they live in extraordinary times, it could just simply believe that man is inherently an egocentric creature, so of course you think whatever happens to you is the most interesting thing that could happen, even if it's objectively interesting. Like, say, an astronomical event taking place before the most powerful nation in the country.
Yeah. So, and okay, so this, honestly, it to at least some degree, no, entirely. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about when we talk about meme magic. Now, like, for example, the one where there are documentaries out there about the Keck meme, right? Keck came from this video game where there's two different sides and one of them's not allowed to speak the other one's language. So if you typed LOL for laugh out loud, somebody else from the other race would see it as KEK. And so people started using the KEK with the frog icon, Pepe the Frog. And then it turned out that, oh no, there was a frog-headed god of chaos in ancient Egypt whose name was Kek. And then there's just layers and layers and layers of this bizarre serendipity that make the thing feel extra important, extra magical. Yeah, exactly. Magical. It's meme magic.
Top keks, baby.
Top keks. So speaking of top keks, we're going into an absolute tidal wave. The red tide is rising, and what controls the tide? Well, the moon. And here we go. The astrologer says total blood moon lunar eclipse to bring shocking global events. Get ready for your destiny to arrive. In shocking and unexpected ways, a blood moon total eclipse will roar into the sky on November 8th, 2022. And here's the funny thing. It goes a step further than the blood moon coinciding with the coming red wave, which by all statistical models is a high probability event. And when I say a high probability event, understand that for the last 20 years, the polls have been wrong, but they've always been wrong in the same way. They underestimate the Republican victory. The polls currently are listing expectations in huge numbers for Republicans, right? And the statistical historical data on this suggests that the polls are going to fall short of just how devastating the red wave will be for the Democrats. So a blood moon total lunar eclipse will roar into the sky on November 8th. And it doesn't just happen on November 8th. The eclipse began at midnight on the West Coast.
Oh, on the West Coast.
So the eclipse didn't actually begin until it was visible across the entirety of the 48 contiguous United States. It's not like it just happened last night and, it passed over some of the country. No. It passed over everything. And meme magic, right? It would be hilarious if it started before it was visible in California and that whole left coast strip stayed hard blue. But just imagine what that's going to look like for the meme magic tomorrow morning when California even gets a little redder.
Yeah, okay, but in all seriousness, and I'm not trying to throw cold water on this.
Oh, please do.
But it's worth noting, and then let's actually do predictions and analysis.
Excuse me.
It's fun and it's romantic, and if this was an episode of Heroes or it was a Marvel comic or whatever, it's just amazing that this lunar eclipse coincided with a thing that's happening on the planet. But it's actually more accurate to say that what's happening on the planet just happened to coincide with the astronomical event. This blood moon thing, I mean, that was literally put into motion millions of years ago. Like, we already know that the next one is going to be in 2025, for example. Just like we know Halley's Comet comes back every 74 years. Just like we know the sun goes through periods of increased activity every 11 years. Like, it's fun, and have fun with it, and enjoy the memes as they come out, okay? I am here for it, but let's be clear. Like, Mercury being in retrograde, for example, doesn't affect your sex life. In fact, newsflash, okay, and this is important for you to understand. According to physics, the planets are always in retrograde, my dude. Okay, I'm not trying to be Neil deGrasse Tyson here and throw cold water on the really cool thing that happened in the sky last night, because it was a really cool thing that happened in the sky. But it was just a cool thing that happened in the sky, and just remember, don't have fun with it, but don't be too crazy. Don't be too crazy. And I said, Legion, you know, it's funny. I'm actually going to read his comment, because that is something that you and I were talking about before the air, that race in particular. Losing Pennsylvania will cause incalculable damage to the DNC. Shapiro, the D governor candidate, was the AG who presided over the Tammany Hall Philly election machine. Today is the final battle for Pennsylvania. The Dems will accept a red wave if they keep Pennsylvania, and I'm combining to a couple of things together. Here's the... All right, so do you just want to start there? Start with the Pennsylvania?
Sure, let's... Because I don't know if I have anything pulled up explicitly on the Pennsylvania forecast there. Well,
that Senate forecast is probably a good one. I bet if you click on Pennsylvania, it'll bring... There you go.
So here's 538, and I don't think 538 is the most accurate up-to-date poll, but they're close enough, and they have good graphics. They do make for good visuals. So thanks for that.
So Mathay's here. So David Mathay says it's going to be interesting here in Pennsylvania. I actually don't know what Chris's prediction on this is. We talked about what mine is, and then it was time to go do a show. So we never talked about what his was. So I'll go ahead and start with mine, and then Chris respond. Well, frankly, however, of all the races that Republicans should win, okay, as it were, Pennsylvania is the one I am the most concerned about. Putting aside all the amphibious priapism issues, what Stick Hexenhammer refers to as the honkening, okay? Throw all that out for a second, right? Part of the problem that we have in Pennsylvania is that the Pennsylvania machine, the legitimate machine, as it were, was okay with electing John Fetterman. I think it's pretty clear now, if you look at the totality of information, Fetterman has been kind of a loser in bad health for years now, and yet somehow he's been, Mayor John and Lieutenant Governor, and now he's got a legit shot at going to the Senate. And the debate between him and Oz happening so late in the election cycle, I mean, you want to talk about just an absolute ironclad argument against early voting. And Pennsylvania's got a couple of giant blue cancers in it. It's still a red state, like every other state in the country, basically. But it's got a couple of giant blue cancers in it. And those blue cancers are powerful enough to pull somebody like John Fetterman across the finish line. I'm actually concerned that if there's any of those contested races, this is the one that we lose. This is...
I hate to say it. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. And we saw it with Biden. And I'm not just talking about how Biden is clearly mentally unfit to, well, let's be frank. Joe Biden is clearly mentally unfit to live an independent life outside of an assisted living home. He doesn't have the capacity for it. We've seen that clearly. In fact, I would go so far as to say the only way that Biden is managing to live outside of a full-time assisted living care facility is that his position and wealth allow him to have that amount of staff on call around him at all times. You look at Fetterman, and it's kind of a similar situation, right? To a much lesser degree, because obviously he's not the president. He's not quite as wealthy as the Biden crime machine, but Fetterman was born into money.
Yeah.
And what we saw of Fetterman in that debate, the man is clearly not competent.
What we saw in that debate was, look, I'll just tell you guys, my father died of strokes. Okay, I don't say this lightly. It was honestly, I hate to use this word, but it has an accurate place. It was emotionally triggering for me to watch that debate. I've seen that kind of brain damage before. Fetterman does not belong in the Senate. Sorry, not sorry. Bye, Felicia.
And if there's any doubt, ask yourself this question. Imagine that someone with Fetterman's capacity to express his intellectual processes were to appear before a judge in a competency hearing where the question was the management of his finances. Guaranteed, 100%, he's going into a conservatorship.
Well, I don't know that I'd go that far. Like I told you the day after the debate, I actually feel like the core of John Fetterman is still in there. He's just constantly going to have that extra layer that he's got to punch through in order to express himself.
I guarantee you that extra layer would be enough for a judge to assign him to a conservatorship if the question were presented in court.
Maybe, but that's kind of getting off the.
In fairness, like I was saying a minute ago, the polls tend to underestimate Democrats. Tend to underestimate Republicans. And here, it's calling for a dead heat between Oz and Fetterman. Honestly, if it's a toss-up between the two of them, my expectation definitely leans toward Oz, because they say it's a toss-up. And these numbers are a little misleading here, sort of. So out of 100 simulations, okay.
Yeah, we get it.
The model samples runs the election 40,000 times to see who wins most often. This is a sample of 100 outcomes to give you an idea of the range. And the random sampling of 100 outcomes shows 57 in 100 for Oz, 43 in 100 for Fetterman. So that's already a pretty big spread in expectation. Now, in fairness, those reports all have them, the spread is only a couple of points from one to the next.
Yeah, even at the widest margin. Line. Yeah.
Right. And then, you've got this outlier where even at the farthest outlier, Oz wins by a plus 15, right? So, but like I said, for at least 2 decades now, the polls have tended almost exclusively to disproportionately disfavor Republicans and to the detriment of their credibility. I mean, look no further than 2016 to see Donald Trump has a 99% chance of losing this election. And that's not how that went. So if 538 says that it's a toss-up, it is not quite, but quite nearly a guaranteed win for Fetterwoman.
Okay, so David Mathey says, I saw the same with my mother. I'm sorry. It is difficult to watch a parent slowly pass. I mean, obviously, you don't want to watch a parent die, but it is difficult to watch somebody who, just kind of fades away. And then Thorn from Twitch pops up and says, if I were a betting type, I would still bet on Fetterman winning. Nothing about this makes sense, which smacks of suspicious activity. I think that is part of it, and I think that, and I'm going to dance around the obvious here for obvious reasons because we're on YouTube. I definitely think that that's part of it, but I also think, and David Mathey is from Pennsylvania, there seems to be something in Pennsylvania politics that You just don't understand from outside the state looking in. Like, there are certain things about Georgia politics it's difficult for you to understand unless you live here and you're ensconced in the political machine in some way. There is something in Pennsylvania politics that has given John Fetterman an opportunity to be successful in a way that arguably he should not have been. And I still think that between the early voting, like we talked about it, how many people watched the debate between Fetterman and Oz and went, holy shit, I would have just stayed home. Not that they would have voted for Oz, but they might have stayed home or voted for the Green Party or the Libertarians or whatever you got going on. But there's that. And then there's this whole second layer. All right. If Oz loses and Fetterman wins, they're going to blame Trump, the movement of MAGA, and all of that. And I think that is going to be a ginormous red herring.
Yeah, and
hold on. What happened in Pennsylvania, or what will have happened in Pennsylvania, will not be a thing that can be laid at Trump's feet. Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016. Okay. What happened in Pennsylvania will have to do with the internal politics of Pennsylvania. Oh, anybody but Mehmet Oz could have beat John Fetterman. Duh. Well, okay, then Mehmet Oz also could have beat John Fetterman. Maybe the problem's not Oz. And I'm not saying that Trump is perfect or anything like that, but I can go ahead and tell you now, if Oz loses, prepare for it to be all Trump's fault. And all those other people that he endorsed that won, by the way, you're going to forget about those. No. We lost Pennsylvania and it's Trump's fault. We've got 53 seats in the Senate. We could have had 54. God damn it, Donald Trump. And I'm just saying, be ready for it. Please, I've made my point.
Nope, I think we're good. Let's move. Let's just move on to local Georgia. Okay.
Damn good dog.
A damn good dog. So Herschel is walking away with it now. The polls seem to think that Herschel is just walking away with it. No question about it. And it's just been for the last week and change, that spread has been getting wider and wider.
Well, part of it's the difference between Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp. Stacey Abrams is about to be humiliated.
Yes, and I'm going to pull her up next. Abrams is out there now saying that she's about to lose this. So, yeah, 94 and 100. Right, 94 in 100 simulations show Kemp winning. And you'll note there are outliers here with him winning by 20 or more in the popular vote margin. If you recall to the last ones we looked at, they didn't even bother to include the outlier to the 20 or more. And I mean, Stacey's been behind entirely for...
Yeah, at no point in time.
For months now. At no point has it been...
Has she been ahead?
Has she been expected to win? And Stacey's got these ads out right now. She's been saying, look, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, how Stacey's losing black men. And she went on and did this interview in the last few days where she said, well, the Republicans are targeting black men with misinformation ads. And I'm like, you know what? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Boy, it sucks to have your tactics used against you.
Your black men are being targeted directly with misinformation, with explicit, obvious misinformation, like the ad that Stacey Abrams' campaign ran that said that constitutional carry will make it easier for criminals to buy guns. It literally doesn't change any of the math on how a criminal buys a gun because it doesn't get rid of the background check.
Yeah, if you're a convicted felon, it's still illegal for you to possess a gun.
None of the law changed around how a criminal would get their hands on a gun. All of the bars to getting a gun still exist for a criminal. But if you're not a criminal and you buy a gun with a legitimate background check, which is a different issue altogether, now you don't have to purchase your right to carry it back from the government that illegitimately stole it from you. That's what that means. Or Stacey coming out and saying that the sound of a heartbeat in a sonogram machine is a contrivance created by the white patriarchy to trick women into not aborting their babies because they're evil and they hate you. And of course, evil, hateful people want to prevent you from murdering your children, because murdering your children, as we've now learned, is an act of mercy. And let's not forget that Stacey Abrams is the queen high bitch dog of election denial from way back.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's funny. Okay?
So yes, black men have been targeted by misinformation. You've done a very good job of targeting black men with misinformation, Stacey Abrams. And the reason that they've become disillusioned with you is because they finally realized that you think they're a bunch of dumb people.
Yeah. And I'll just repeat my snark from a moment ago. Be like, gosh, man, it must suck to have your most popular tactics used against you.
Right?
Except, here's the difference, okay? Republicans aren't lying when they're like, no, your skin color is like totally a secondary factor, buddy. Are you good at your job? Well, then I believe you should make more money doing it. Like, that is, your skin color don't mean shit, bruh. If you put in the work, you get the reward. It's like Republican 101, okay? But you've had to lie about that, haven't you? Yes, you have. But no, there's a funny point about Stacey Abrams, okay? If we use the metrics of the left, of identity politics, about representation and how important it is that you see somebody like you.
Yes, Mitch, she will win re-election.
That is top
guaranteed
comment right there. That is top comment here.
She will continue to be the governor of Georgia.
Oh, that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. Anyhow, but according to their own metrics, Stacey Abrams has no business being governor of the state of Georgia.
Well,
hold on.
She's a diversity hire. She checks all the boxes, even fat ass.
No. She's unmarried.
Yep.
She has no children.
Yep.
Which means, according to the standards of the left, she's utterly unfit to be governor of the state of Georgia.
Agreed.
Where the vast majority of the voters in the state of Georgia have procreated. And even if they're divorced, they've been married. And even if all they did was live with their baby mama for 5 years and do that common law thing, they still effectively have been married. She has no business, by her own standards, being governor. Now, the gap between Kemp and Abrams is so big. If there's any question, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that gap is huge. But if there's any question, I think if there was any doubt about what was going to happen in the Walker-Warnock race, I think Kemp's coattails are big enough to help Herschel across the finish line. And frankly, I don't think there's even gonna be a runoff. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
I think the fact that the only thing the left can point to and meme about Herschel Walker with is him pulling out his badge. I mean, please note that they don't bring up anything else that happened in that debate, because Herschel Walker did well in the debate, okay? Warnock literally has decades of practice at public speaking, and while Walker is not the most articulate speaker, he was able to think on his feet and keep up with him. So
we saw what made Herschel Walker such a damn good dog. Warnock walked out with all that preparation, and Walker ran him over.
Exactly. So I think not only does Walker win, I'm going ahead and I'm predicting it now, and if I'm wrong, I'll say I was wrong. But I think Walker wins with 50+1. I think there's not even a runoff.
Yeah, I agree.
In fact, I hope Walker wins without a runoff, because apparently Georgians don't like to participate in runoffs anymore. So there's that. So there is there is definitely that. I would ignore it. Like we're at 8 o'clock and there's a whole bunch of states we haven't even touched yet.
True. Well, and we're okay. So
rapid fire. Kerry Lake.
A win.
W. Blake Masters.
W.
W. Let's see. I don't know what's going to happen in Alaska. That one's weird. I'd leave that one as a toss up.
And frankly, I haven't paid much attention to Alaska. Now Kerry Lake, brother, I would not be surprised to see her running for president in 12 years.
I wouldn't be surprised to see her as vice president much sooner than that.
Agreed.
Just as a point of fact. Just saying. Super saying. Can we look at the RCP averages? Because I tend to put more credibility in them.
These?
Than, yes, those, but ooh.
Yeah, they're hard to look at.
That's pretty dense.
Yeah,
that is pretty dense.
I do like the RCP averages for data points, but it's just a wall of data, and that's going to be hard to read on the screen.
Well, either way, okay. Long story short, yes, and Alex, thank you, sir. He points out that Alaska is a ranked choice, which means it's rigged for Democrats. It's a whole separate issue about why I actually don't want to introduce third-party candidates and ranked choices into the system. I guarantee you it will favor the left. So there's that. And then, but I guess we're just not gonna, yeah. I think that's about it, dude. I think if we're gonna go all over the place, then.
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up. I got to get out the door anyway. Alex is watching. Did he reply to my message yet?
I don't know.
I don't think so. So, yeah, give me some information about what we're doing tonight, Alex, and look for us. I will be live tonight. Cameron will probably be here with me, and we may be live everywhere but YouTube just because of the range of topics that might end up needing to be discussed. So take your frogs to the hospital and get them checked out, just in case. If you don't see us on YouTube tonight at 8,
still going to be on Twitch,
look for
Rumble,
us everywhere else. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and whatever that weird one with the little ninja guy is from the Hanguk Pondo. We will see you there this evening, and guys, if you haven't already, get out there and vote. Do the thing, and let's surf that red wave right back into cheap gas.
The thing.
You know, the thing.